Welcome to the Lean Out Your Business podcast, a show dedicated to helping entrepreneurs accelerate business growth and simplify success. I'm your host, Krista Grasso, and I've been working with businesses for more than 2 decades to help them lean out and optimize what's working while eliminating anything that's not adding value. So if you are ready to get more time back in your day, more profit in your business, and to do business differently, growing and scaling on your terms, let's dive into today's episode. Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Lean Out Your Business podcast. Today, I'm going to be talking about things that get in the way of sustainable scaling. And specifically, I'm going to be diving into your business operations. So before I get into this topic, I do want to tell you about something that I am so incredibly excited about, and I hope that you will join me for. So coming up on October 9th, I am finally launching my new brand, Strategic Ops Institute. And on October 9th at 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific, I am hosting a virtual party and you are invited. So this is going to be a workshop called The Future of Operations. And in the workshop, I'm going to be sharing some of the things that you really need to know to set yourself up for success and scale as we go into the new year. But I'm also going to be introducing you to the Strategic Ops Institute, and we're going to be celebrating the launch of the new brand, and we're going to be doing it in style with all sorts of really incredible and fun giveaways. So you can win a 2-hour FIFO strategy session with me. You can win lean out planners. There's going to be all sorts of stuff because there's only once that you launch a new brand. Now, if you're like me, you may launch many new brands throughout the course of your entrepreneurial journey. This would be number 8 for me. But that being said, there's only one official launch day of your business. And for me, it is October 9th. And I really hope that you will be there with me. So head over to leanoutmethod.com/events and you will find the place to sign up for the Future of Ops. Make sure that you are there live so you have the chance to win some of the incredible giveaways and to just be a part of the celebration, plus learn some really valuable things that will help set you up for success and scale in the new year. And with that being said, today's episode, I was actually working on some emails and some things to be inviting people into the upcoming workshop and talking about the new brand. And as often happens, what started as a short little newsletter that I was writing turned into about 2 hours of me just digging deep into all of the things that get in the way of sustainable scaling and all of the operational mistakes that I see founders make. So this ended up turning into something much more than the short little email that I was trying to write. And I decided to record a podcast episode on it and to put all of the detail over in the blog. So as always, you can go to leanoutmethod.com/blog to get additional details. But in today's episode, what I want to share with you are 8 of the most common mistakes that I see visionary founders making with their operations that actually causes more complexity, that really impacts their ability to grow their business, to scale their business, and ultimately to do so in a sustainable way. Things that cost more money, things that cost more time, and things that ultimately keep you from the very results that you are trying to get. And a lot of it comes from the nature of being a visionary. And so if you are an ops leader listening to this episode, I'm going to tell you to go to strategicopsinstitute.com/blog instead, and there you will find a companion post to what I'm talking about. And there you will find a companion post to what I'm talking about in this episode that actually looks at it through the operational leader's lens as to what you can do to support your founder in each of these areas. And if you are the visionary founder listening, feel free to send that link to your right-hand person so they can help you with each of these strategies. Now, here's the thing. If you are not naturally an operations person and you are more of a visionary founder, someone who started a business based on a desire to make a big impact, based on some sort of passion or something that you really wanted to do, then chances are that operations are not your passion in life, and they're also probably not your superpower in life. Your superpower is very much doing what you do to help your clients get incredible results. And if you think about it, when we go into business, right, especially our very first business, if you think back to when that was, we show up all bright eyed and bushy tailed and all excited about the impact we're going to make. And this is going to be amazing. And the things that people aren't thinking of is with that comes having to build a team, having to lead people, having to learn how to lead, having to figure out how to handle challenging situations, how to fire people, all of the complexities that come from leading a team. You have to create processes and you have to create systems and you have to deal with tools and technology and things that change all the time, like AI that disrupts everything, right? You have to do planning. If you actually want to get somewhere, you have to do planning. And which planning framework do you follow? Everything seems really complex or maybe too simple. Handling your finances, balancing your cash flow, dealing with the day-to-day issues and things that come up in the business, and ultimately kind of leading all the people and leading all the things, right? All of that was not what most of us were thinking of when we started a business. And now, as a smart and successful founder, you understand the critical role that operations plays in your success, in the sustainability of your results, and ultimately in your ability to have the freedom and the autonomy that you went into business for in the first place, right? Operations are absolutely critical. They are what allow you to make that beautiful, big, bold vision that you have a reality. But that being said, for most visionaries, operations are also more of a means to an end. It's not the thing that gets them out of bed in the morning. And that combined with it not being their natural superpower can lead to some really common and some really damaging mistakes. So let's dive into the top 8 mistakes that I see visionary founders making. The first one being ignoring operations until it becomes an emergency. And Annie P. Ruggles and I talked about this in our episode that we did recently. So if you did not hear that one, you can go back and listen to it. But a lot of times, operations are kind of an afterthought until you end up in that situation where the business has grown or you've just signed on a client and you realize, how on earth am I going to deliver this? Or you've had a launch that's gone really successful and you think, how am I going to onboard all of these people? And are the emails scheduled to go? And is their access going to work properly? And so it's frequently not until something either breaks or until something is desperately needed that operations end up becoming a focus. And that can make things much more costly to fix. It can lead to delays. It can impact client experience, and it can cause you to miss growth opportunities, right? Not things that we're looking for. And so what you want to do instead, so you can avoid the more operational emergency that founders sometimes find themselves in, is always make sure that you are balancing your operations with your growth focused. Make sure that you're building that solid foundation and putting the right systems and the strategies and the team in place to be able to support the growth that you either are in the middle of or that you aspire to next. Make sure that you have regular cadences to be reviewing things. Look at and review your tools and your tech and your systems and your team, and make sure that you've got the right things in place and that you're proactively looking to the future so that you have things in place ideally before you need them. What you don't want is to be sucked into reactive mode and to take your focus off of the strategic moves that are going to help you actually move your business forward. Now, the second one that I see pretty often is hiring people without the right development to support them. And so when you're hiring someone for an operational role, a lot of times, because it's not what you do or what you enjoy doing, you don't always know exactly who you're looking for or what to be looking for when you're hiring people. And this can cause one of two things: either over investing in someone who's just a really good marketer and they were able to sell themselves really well. But unfortunately, when they get in, you realize that maybe they aren't actually capable of a lot of the things that they said, and you end up pretty disappointed. Or on the flip side, a lot of times when someone hires someone operational, they end up trying to bring them in as low cost as they possibly can. They are more willing to invest in more marketing or sales type roles. And so operations, they try to invest in as minimally as possible. I would encourage you to not do that. But if that's the case, what frequently ends up happening is you bring someone in who is not yet skilled enough to do the actual role that you brought them in for. And there's this mistaken assumption sometimes that, well, they're an operations person, they'll just kind of figure it out. And you think if you kind of leave them on their own, eventually they'll figure it out and everything will just kind of start working. But the reality is that they need training. They need development, they need mentorship, and you may not be the very best person to do that if operations is not your area of expertise. So whether it's an employee or a contractor, what I would recommend is if you really need that super seasoned person, someone at more of a executive COO level, then hire that person and plan to invest properly in bringing that person in. And if you are going to be bringing in someone more junior, someone who's going to need more mentoring or more training or more development, invest in sending them through a training and certification program like the one that I offer in Strategic Ops Institute. I have one for your executive COO level person. It's the CSOO certification, Chief Strategy and Operating Officer, or I have one for more of your project manager, ops manager type, and that's the EPM certification, Entrepreneurial Project Manager. That being said, there are others out there as well. So find something that will help develop them so they understand how to be effective as your right hand. They understand how to scale your business, how to work effectively with you, how to lead your team, and how to run really efficient operations. The third one is completely abdicating responsibility without staying engaged. A lot of times, because operations might not be your passion, when you hire someone, you're like, okay, thank God, I am going to go focus on visionary things now. They can handle all that operations stuff. Peace out, right? You don't really want anything to do with it. So you kind of let the person come in and just run with it. And while that might feel very freeing for the first short little period of time, it will actually start to feel very constraining quickly. Because what you do is you create a single point of failure in your business and you create a dependency on this person that you brought in. Now, if they're a really great person and they're going to stay forever, that's fine. That's great. It still puts you in a little bit of a challenging situation if they come to you and say, hey, I think I should be paid twice as much. What do you do at that point, right? You either say, I'm sorry, I don't think that it's really time for that right now, or that's not quite what I do, and you risk them leaving, or they do leave. And they were the one that had all of the knowledge, all of the understanding, all of the everything, and you're stuck trying to figure it out or trying to hire someone to come in to figure it out when they're really the only person that had that knowledge. Now, the other thing that can happen is they can be off doing what they do with their operations, and it can end up not actually aligning with your vision, with your values, with the culture of the business, right? A lot of operational leaders know what they know and do what they do. And they're going to go into any business and they are going to do what they do and they're going to implement what they know. And they're not always taking the time to make sure that what they're doing is the right thing for the specific business that they're in. And so you do need to make sure that you are still connected. You don't need to do the operations, but you should still be setting the strategy for the operations. What is it that you want out of your operations? What are the targets? What do you need to see? You want to stay connected enough, even if you have the most rock star, most trusted, most incredible human being who is your operational leader in your business or your right hand in your business. You still, even if you fully trust them, want to stay engaged. So set the strategy, set the direction, and continue to review performance and make sure that everything is actually going and running and scaling the way that you want to in alignment with your vision, your values, and your goals. Something that can be closely tied to this, number 4, is not approaching operations holistically, and this can lead to fragmentation. Fragmentation is one of those top 10 areas of waste that you hear me talk about frequently, and these are the things that end up causing a whole lot of extra time and money and eating your profit margins, causing overwork, all of the things that we don't want in business. And so here's what I mean by that. What happens a lot of times is you've got different people playing different roles, and they're all locally optimizing their own work. They might be putting SOPs or systems together for what they do. Hopefully, they are doing that and they're not just off Wild Westing it in what they're doing. Hopefully, there's some structure and some intentionality behind what they're doing. But if you've got marketing over on one side doing something and you've got sales on another side doing something, and you've got your tech over on another side doing something, and you've got your ops leader on another side doing something, and you've got all of these different functions in the business all off doing their own thing, well, sometimes things do not fit together holistically. Things are unoptimized. Processes might overlap, so you've got the same people doing the same things. Processes might contradict each other, so you've got different people doing different things, and it creates a lot of confusion for your clients or just confusion and inconsistency in general. It certainly creates a lot of inefficiencies. So you want to make sure that things are not disjointed and fragmented in the business. You want to have a really clear, comprehensive strategy around your operations. You want to make sure that everything fits together like a beautiful puzzle where all of the pieces fit in. You don't have any gaps and you don't have any bonus pieces just kind of hanging out, wondering where they go. You want everyone working towards a common goal, and you want everything, kind of all your engines turning together at once. So you're all going in the right direction and you're all optimized together. So you want to get people on common systems. You hear me talk a lot about the fact that we do pretty much everything on Monday.com. Love Monday. I pretty much live in Monday. That is our work management tool, but we do a lot more than that in Monday. Then from a brainstorming perspective, we use Miro. So those are kind of the two core tools I use to run my business. So my team is in those tools all of the time. That and Slack ends up being our communication tool. So think about what suite of tools you want to use for communication, for everyone being on the same page. Think about how all of the different things that you do in your business fit together in an end-to-end workflow. There's the workflow and experience that your client goes through, but there's also the workflow and experience that your team goes through to deliver something or to prepare something. Make sure that you're fully understanding that and seeing how it all fits together. And if I'm saying this and you're like, oh my God, that sounds so overwhelming, you do not need to do this as the visionary. You just need to make sure that this is done. And that is where having a really strong and really incredible right-hand leader will end up helping you and supporting you with that. And again, if you already have someone on your team and you know that they need a little bit of loving when it comes to training and mentorship, send them over to me in Strategic Ops Institute. I've got certification programs starting before the end of the year for both CSOO and EPM, and would love to welcome them into that. And if you need to hire someone, I am not currently matching, but I will be matching soon. So get on the wait list over at strategicopsinstitute.com, and I can help match you with someone at either that executive level or at more of that strategy and execution blended level. All right. The fifth mistake that I see visionary founders frequently make is underestimating the importance of documenting their processes. Most founders assume that their teams can just figure it out and that they don't necessarily need formal processes. They think that it's a nice to have, but not really something that's worth prioritizing. And although I am a very, very big believer in just enough and just in time processing and not over processing, which I see a lot of businesses go to the other extreme and over document everything and it ends up never being leveraged. I do think it is really important that you are looking at and documenting your critical business systems. You want to define your workflows for the core things that you do, like I already mentioned. You also want to make sure that you're putting those SOPs, those standard operating procedures, and other processes and in place to make it really clear to someone what success looks like. You do not, contrary to popular belief, need a super detailed document with step-by-step instructions and screenshots and all of the things for every single thing that you do in your business. But at a minimum, someone needs to know what success looks like. They need to know what the acceptance criteria is. If they're doing something, how do they know that they did it right? How do they know what it should look like, how it should perform, what's acceptable, what's not acceptable? That is like the bare minimum of what you need to provide from a process and system perspective. From there, anything that's really critical, like that has to be done a very particular way. I always say things that you want to be really precise about is anything that deals with money, right? You don't want to wing it in how you process customer payments or refunds. You want to be really precise and consistent in how you do that, right? So there's certain things that are really important that do require an actual really detailed SOP. Most things don't need to be quite that detailed. You can be more focused on success criteria and things of that nature. It's what I teach in my 180/20 systems framework that I go through with people inside my Ops Alchemy program. But whichever level of system you need for something, whichever level of documentation and process you need for something, you do need that. And that does need to be maintained and be kept up to date. That is how you have consistent results. That's how you have repeatable positive results in your business. And that's how you're able to make changes when you need to really quickly. It's also how you're able to support growth and how you're ultimately able to scale your business. Number 6 is one that I see in pretty much every single business I've ever worked with and probably will see in every business I will ever work with. And that is overcomplicating operations and making it harder to scale. Nobody does this intentionally. Nobody tries to make things more complicated, but it is a byproduct of people having a lot on their plate, people having a lot of different things to focus on, and of operations sometimes being a bit of an afterthought. And so what can happen sometimes is there's an issue that arises and the natural tendency is, well, let's just add this tool, or let's just add this system, or let's just add this step. And so things keep growing, things keep getting bigger, things keep getting more complex. And at the end of the day, it's really easy to add and to say yes to something new. It is much more challenging to subtract and to say no to something existing, or to go back in and fix all those Band-Aid solutions and hacks that you put in place because you had to hurry up and there was this launch that was happening. And so you're just going to put this inefficient process in place right now, but you'll get back to it later. But the reality is nobody ever really gets back to things later. And so what ends up happening is processes get more and more complex. There's more things that are done manually that need to be. There's much more that can be either simplified, can be cut out entirely, or certainly that can be automated. And so processes, systems, operations as a whole end up very complex. And complexity is the enemy of scale. You need to simplify before you can scale. Otherwise, you scale all the noise, you scale all those complexities, you scale all the issues in the business, right? You want to be scaling what you want more of. You do not want to be scaling what you do not want more of, because scaling is equal opportunity. It just gives you more of what you already have, good or bad. And so you want to do all that simplification first to get rid of all the complexity, get rid of everything that you don't want, so that you are really getting the results that you want when you're scaling. If you know that you are about to go into a period where you are doing something that you think is going to drive scalable growth in the business, A, congratulations, that's amazing, and I hope it goes really well. But B, make sure that you get rid of the complexity and that you proactively look at, do you have the right systems and tools and technology in place? Are you able to support that level and scale of growth? Do you have the right team to support you? Who's the next type of hires that you need to make? Maybe not today, but if things go the way that you think that they will, the way that you hope they will, you kind of have something ready so you can bring somebody in before you get to a place of desperation. And how are you going to be handling your cash flow throughout all of it? Number 7 is related to this, and this is not regularly updating and optimizing systems. So we covered a bit of this already, but once you have those systems, once those SOPs exist, once those workflows exist, once your tool and technology are in place, making sure that they are kept up to date and that they are optimized. Things change all the time. Tools change all the time. Every tool that I use has changed pretty dramatically this year as they've added in more and more AI capabilities. I guarantee that all of your tools have done the same. And sometimes we think about adding new tools or going out and trying different things, but we don't always go back and look at what our existing tools have that can make our lives a lot easier, that can save us a ton of time, or that maybe we don't need the tool anymore and we don't need to be paying for it because one of the other tools that we use more often has added some of the features that are in some of the other tools that you have that you use less often, right? There's changes all the time that we need to go through and make sure that our tools, our tech, and our systems are kept up to speed and that we are leveraging things as efficiently and as effectively as possible. Now, we also need to make sure that any time that was invested in creating those workflows, in documenting those processes, that those are kept up to date as well, because they are useless if they are not accurate. And the second you have an employee or a contractor go to follow a process or an SOP and they realize that it's out of date or it's not correct, good luck getting them to try to follow any other ones. It instantly just discredits everything. And that is the opposite of what you want. You want everyone using those all the time so that people are remaining efficient and are naturally thinking of improvement opportunities and optimization opportunities. Again, this stuff doesn't sound super sexy when you want to be growing and you want to be scaling and you want to be influencing and you want to be doing all of the amazing impact-driven things that you probably started your business for. But these things are where the money is in your business. This is where the profitability is in the business. And this is where the long-term sustainable success is in the business. All right. And finally, number 8, not aligning operations with the business's growth strategy. So focusing on growth without also focusing on operations definitely will end up leading to chaos and put you in that reactive, coming from behind, desperately trying to get your operations in place position that you do not want to be in. You do not want to scale too fast without the right systems or the right team to support you. But you also want to make sure that not only are you proactively and strategically putting those operations in place to align with future growth, but you need to be accounting for your operations in everything that you're doing. A lot of times as founders, we get really enamored with the idea of something and the possibility of something, and we look at everything up to the point of launching it or selling it. We forget about all of the things that it's going to take to actually deliver it and run it and maintain it. And as a result, we sometimes end up launching things that aren't nearly as profitable as we think they're going to be because we forgot about the 3 team members that we would need to hire to be able to support it. Or we forgot about the tools and the technology and the systems and all the things that we committed to do to create the experience we want for our clients. And so it's really important that your operational strategy and your business growth strategy are tightly integrated. They must be integrated together. It gives you an accurate picture of what you need when. It helps you understand what your profitability will actually be in your business so you don't have any surprises. And it will set you up to be able to actually have the sustainable and scalable growth that you want in your business. So to wrap this one up, operations may not be your passion in life. If they are, amazing. I'm happy that you're here and you're really going to love the new brand, Strategic Ops Institute. But if you are a visionary founder and you get the importance of operations, but it may not necessarily be what you want to be spending your time doing, make sure that you're assessing where you are against each of these 8 things that I've shared. Because even if there's one area that you're like, oh, yep, oops, do that one, it can be really, really helpful to give it some love, give it some focus, have your operational leader really go in and Have your operational leader go in and pay attention to that area, try to close some of those gaps, and you're going to see much better results in your business. You'll also find that you probably have less issues that you get pulled into, and things will just run a whole lot smoother. Operations needs to be treated as an integrated part of your business. It is not just a back-end function as much as sometimes it can feel like it is. When you treat it as that integrated part of the business, that is where you'll start to see the freedom and autonomy that you want in your business. And ultimately, that is where you get to put your time on visionary leadership, on legacy work, on the things that really do fuel you while your business continues to grow. So I hope you found this episode really valuable. As I shared, I would love to have you join me for the launch party for Strategic Ops Institute. It's on October 9th at 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific. You can get registered at leanoutmethod.com/events. You'll find all of the details there and carve out the hour to be there live. There'll be some really valuable training about setting yourself up for next year for success, looking at some of the operational changes that you really want to be ahead of for the new year, plus getting introduced to everything that we're doing at Strategic Ops Institute and having the ability to win a coaching session with me, planner, and some other goodies that I will be sharing on the 9th. I hope to see you there, and I will see you again next week. Thanks so much for tuning in to this week's episode. If you have not yet taken our scalability assessment, I invite you to head to leanoutmethod.com/assessment and take our interactive assessment that's going to help you look at how simple, how sustainable, and how scalable your business currently is. It includes personalized recommendations of where to focus next to get your time back, to increase your impact, increase your profits, and ultimately step into your rich, fulfilled life. And finally, we'd love to see you inside our signature program, Simplify to Scale. You can head to leanoutmethod.com/ops to find all of the details on how we can help you uplevel your operations and get out of the day-to-day of your business.